Welcome, Dhamma brothers and sisters, to Buddhist Fellowship. Let's start our opening puja and put our hands together. Let us pay homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Please put your palms together to partake in the offering to the Buddha. The offering of the 5 items allows us to express our gratitude to the Buddha and serves as a symbol to help us remember the teachings. Please join wholeheartedly and read the verses together. Offering of light. Light symbolizes wisdom. May the light of Dhamma dispel the darkness of ignorance. Offering of incense. Incense symbolizes the fragrance of pure moral conduct. This reminds us to cultivate good conduct. Offering of water. Water symbolizes purity, clarity, and calmness. It reminds us to practice the Buddha's teachings to cleanse one's mind, which is full of desires, ill will, and delusions, to attain the state of purity. Offering of fruits. Fruits symbolize the ultimate fruit of enlightenment, which is our goal. They also remind us that all actions will have their effects. Offering of flowers. Flowers symbolize impermanence. The freshness, fragrance, and beauty of flowers are impermanent. This reminds us that we should all live in the present. Remembering thus, we should reduce our craving and attachment. Let us all pay respect to the Triple Gem. Arahang sama sambuddho bhagawa Buddhang bhagawantang abhivademi. Swakato bhagavata dhammo dhammang namasami. Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho sanghang namami. We chant these verses for taking the 3 refuge. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. We chant these verses to observe the 5 precepts. Anatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu michachara Viramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Musawada Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Surameraya Majapamadatana Viramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Recollections of the Buddha. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Buddha. Iti piso bhagawa arahang sama sambuddho Vijacarana sampano sugato lokavidu Anutaro purisa dhamma sarati Satha dewa manusanang Buddho bhagavati. Recollections of the Dhamma. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Dhamma. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko ehipasiko opanaiko pachatang veditabo vinyuhiti. Recollections of the Sangha. Let us recollect the sublime qualities of the Sangha. Supatipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Ujupatipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Nyaya patipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Samici patipano bhagavato sawaka sangho Yadidang catari purisa yugani Atta purisa pugala esa bhagavato sawaka sangho ahuneyo pahuneyo dakineyo anjali karaneyo anutarang punya ketang lokasati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Good morning, Dhamma brothers and sisters. Welcome to Buddhist Fellowship. Thank you for joining us today. And my name is Rana and happy to be the service leader for today's session. We are very happy to have Bhante Sumana to share with us on the topic of the ARAHANT'S banner. Let me share a short profile of Bhante. Bhante Sumana is ordained as a Sri Lankan Buddhist monk at age 12 in 1998. He went on to obtain his higher ordination in 2007, and he graduated from the University of Ruhuna in Sri Lanka with a Bachelor in Buddhist Philosophy in 2011. He obtained his second degree in Buddhist Studies from Buddhist College of Singapore in 2020, and he's currently is studying for his Master's in Buddhist Studies in Mahachulalongkorn Raja Vidyalaya University. He is also pursuing his Master's in Buddhist Counseling at the University of Kelaniya, Sri Lanka. Bhante Sumana has given numerous Dhamma talks in various Buddhist societies in Singapore and Malaysia. So, Dhamma brothers and sisters, let's put our hands together to warmly welcome Bhante Sumana to lead us in a short meditation followed by the Dhamma sharing. Bhante Sumana, please.
Namo tassa bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the Blessed One, Exalted One, and the fully enlightened One. Good morning to all of you, friends. Hope you all can hear me properly and see me properly, right? Okay, so now we are going to do short meditation. Close your eyes and bring your attention to the level of your eye and observe what you can see. If you are in a dark room, you may see the darkness, and if you are in a bright light room, you may still can see some kind of light right in front of you, even though you are closing your eyes. Pay attention and observe what you can see. Even though it is darkness or bright light, you still can see small, tiny dots right in front of you. And while observing these small particles right in front of you, bring your attention to your ears and observe all the possible auditory sensations. Depending on your background, where you are living, you may hear numerous different kind of sounds. If you are paying more attention to your eyes level, you can see with these sounds automatically in our mind some kind of objects are appearing pertaining to the sound that we are hearing. If it is a dog barking, automatically in our mind the picture of dog appears. If the sounds come from your mother, father, brother, sister, or somebody, their images inside your mind. This is considered as mental illusion, and pay more attention. While you are paying attention, slowly bring your attention on the tip of your nose. Now slowly observe your breathing goes through your nostril. You are breathing in, and the same air goes out through your nostrils. You are breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Inhale and exhale. While you are breathing in and breathing out, there may be different sounds. Observe, let it go. While you are breathing and breathing out, different thoughts appear inside your mind. Let it go. Bring back to your main objective, that is observing, breathing in and breathing out. When your mind gets more clearer, you may be able to feel the different sensation of your breath. The air that you breathe in much more cooler than the breath that you are breathing out. Slowly open up your eyes. Okay. Friends, Namo Buddhaya. So good morning to all of you again. And thank you for being here. I would like to welcome you all for this Dhamma talk. Today our topic is ARAHANT'S banner. I think Sister Eileen doesn't mind if I mention what had happened while we were choosing this topic. So, Sister Eileen decided to invite me on behalf of Buddhist Fellowship for this Dhamma talk, and this invitation extended by Sister Michelle. And I would like to thank you all for inviting me. And Sister Eileen wanted to know what are the topics that I would prefer to give a talk on this Sunday service. So I submitted 3 topics, and ARAHANT'S banner was one among those topics. Sister Eileen was very happy with the topic ARAHANT'S banner, but she was not so sure what is the content and the meaning of this topic. Of course, it is nothing to be worried, because this is not a very famous usage. It is in a very, we can see this usage in Sinhalese tradition. But it is not very common usage, because it is a direct translation from Sinhalese term called the robe, relating to the robe. So I have explained her this topic is all about the robe that Buddhist monks are wearing. So our topic today is about the robe that right now I am wearing. So now it is much more clearer for you what is the topic that I am going to talk. So friends, under this topic, I would like to highlight 2 sub-themes or subtopics which is related to the monastic Buddhist robe. The first part of this talk will be discussed about the gradual development of the robe of the Buddhist monk. And the second part that I am going to discuss in this topic is the insight or the reflective meaning this robe carries. I think this is also a very important topic. It has timely importance also. If you all aware about this time period, this is the last few weeks of Rain's retreat, Vasana retreat. After this Vasana retreat, the Kathina ceremonies take place in where Buddhist monks observe Vasana retreat. The robe plays a significant important role. Therefore, if you happen to participate Kathina ceremony, currently due to this pandemic period, if you happen to participate, you can reflect on this talk and offer these robes to the monks. So with this introduction, I think we are good to proceed to the first part of our Dhamma talk, that is the gradual development of the robe of a Buddhist monk. So friends, when we go through Pali Tripitaka, that we can see there are 3 different stages of development of this monastic attire. And in the Pali Tripitaka, that we can see when a lay person entering to this monastic order, they consider that they are entering from home life to homelessness life. What is this home life? Which is the life that as lay people you are living. And homelessness life means the life that as a Buddhist monks we are living. And also it considered you are entering from colorful life to colorless life. Because lay people's life is a colorful life, a fancy life, and there are so many different colors in your life. But when you are entering from this life to monastic life, you are entering to the colorless life. There are no much fancier things in monastic life. In Pabbajja Sutta of Sutta Nipata, it explains Sambhadoyang garavaso rajasayatanang iti abbhokasuva pabbajja iti disvan pabbaji. Household life is crowded and realm of dust, while entering to the monastic order is like going forth open air or open space. So you can see the beauty of homelessness life. It has its own beauty. That beauty has explained by the Buddha in Majjhima Nikaya, Mahatanha Sankhya Sutta. So Buddha used the analogy of a bird. What is this beautiful analogy? Just like a bird who is carrying the weights of its wings, Buddhist monks also contented with robes to cover their body and contented with foods in order to survive their lives, travel place to place. Seyyatapinama pakkisapuno yena yeneva deti sapatta bharo yeva deti. Evameva santutto bhikkhu kaya pariharena chivarena kucci pariharena pindapatena. Yena yeneva patkamati samadayeva pakkamati. The Buddha is a wonderful poet. All these beautiful analogies gives the beauty of homelessness life. And here we can see that when a person entering to this monastic life, he had to contend with 4 basic requirements. Those are called Nisaya. Inside this Nisaya, robe also mentioned. What are these 4? Pindiyaloka bhojana, to be content with begged food or alms food. Pamsukula chivara, to be contented with ragged clothes. So this is the first mention of robe. And Rukkamula senasana, to be contented with living under a tree. Potimutta Vesajja, to be contented with cattle urine medicine. So if you were aware, it was the news, even in order to prevent from COVID-19, some Indian people still use this cattle urine as a medicine. But I do not know whether it worked or not. It seems it is not. These are only a basic requirements. The Buddha said Buddha didn't say that you must practice these all 4 basic needs. If you happen to give opportunity to take medicine from Mount Elizabeth Hospital in Singapore, of course you can. Because Buddha has no restrictions for these kind of 4 basic requirements. And here we can see the beginning stage of robe of a Buddhist monk under Pamsukula Chivara. Pamsukula means ragged clothes. And also there is another important term to describe Buddhist monks called bhikkhu. You may have heard this term. The term bhikkhu has 3 meanings. According to Visuddhimagga, these three meanings are Bhikkhati bhikkhu, one who go for alms round, also called a bhikkhu, and one who sees the danger of samsara, also called bhikkhu, samsara by ekkatiti bhikkhu, and one who wear the ragged cloth also considered as a bhikkhu, chinna binna patidaroti bhikkhu. Now you can see two terms, chinna binna patidaroti bhikkhu. It is also because of this term given, monks are wearing ragged clothes. And earlier we saw the term Pamsukula Chivara wearing ragged clothes. So this one confirmed in the early stage, Buddhist monks wear all the ragged clothes. Even though today all those portrait of the Buddha and early disciples wearing beautiful robes, nicely decorated robes, it is not the case in the actual situation. So, friends, and then where these pieces of red clothes Buddhist monk found is a good question. These exactly according to Tripitaka that we can find where monks found out these clothes. You know that in ancient India there was a traditional custom, it is still being practiced in India. When a person passed away, they take white piece of cloth, wrap around these dead bodies, and yet use another piece of white piece of cloth to cover this dead body. And then they carry these dead bodies and throw it to nearby jungle. So that is the burial or cemeteries at that time in ancient India. And these places closely associated by two groups. The first group, carnivorous animal. You know, carnivorous animals who are closely associate these places, they get together. Once the body is thrown out to the cemetery, they devour these dead bodies as food for their bodily survival. The other group that closely associated these cemeteries was Sramana or the monks. They also closely associated these cemeteries or burial ground in order to find food for their mind, because this was a wonderful place for the Buddhist practitioners to realize the impermanence of the body. Therefore, Buddhist monks also associated these cemeteries or burial grounds. And after devouring these bodies by animals, Buddhist monks go closer and find these white piece of clothes which were now covered with pus, blood and dust. They bring these piece of clothes, wash these robes and then wear it. So this is how the first stage Buddhist monks used their robes. This was the first stage that we can find according to Tripitaka. And in the second stage that we can see, when the number of monks are increasing in this Buddhist order, many people were interested in Buddhist monks, having seen their calm behavior, having seen their pleasant behavior. They were interested and started offering undivided one big white piece of cloth. So Buddha allowed monks to accept this one big piece of white clothes and make it a robe and wear. But unfortunately, this tradition wasn't last long. The reason because when the time monks were wearing this one undivided big piece of cloth, They at night wash these clothes and put in the cloth line. But next day, when they check on these clothes, they were disappeared. And there were so many several cases for this kind of similar incidents. So Buddha had to do a proper investigation. What they found that thieves theft these robe and sold it to the merchants in order to make living. So the Buddha had to overcome this problem. He used a very simple method that it is that you can see when a white big piece of cloth is very valuable because you can make out of it many different kind of dresses. But if you cut this one into pieces, that value becoming zero, because once it divided into small pieces, it does not have the same value. So considering this method and also having seen the importance of having a unique dress code for Buddhist monk, the Buddha advised Venerable Ananda to come up with a proper pattern of robe for Buddhist monks. So this story you can see in the passage of Vinaya Pitaka Mahavagga, the Chivarakandaka, that it explained. One day, the Buddha was touring in a small village called Dakshinagiri, and the Buddha saw the field of Magadha, the paddy field of Magadha, and he stopped there, invited his chief attendant, Venerable Ananda, to come and see the view of the Magadha field. And then later, he asked Venerable Ananda, "Do you, Ananda, see the field of Magadha laid out in strips, laid out in lines, laid out in embankment, laid out in squares? Are you, Venerable Ananda, able to prepare a robe replicating this field of Magadha?" And that is how the origin of Buddhist monk's robe today that I am and today those all other Theravada monks are wearing can be witnessed. So this is the origin of proper monastic robe according to the Tripitaka. So friends, and also similarly that you are witnessing today the world longest unchanged dress code ever recorded in the history. It is 2600 years old and unchanged, still carrying to the future. So in order to give you a proper understanding about robe, I would like to share a few slides with you. So you can see here you see the ARAHANT'S banner. Can you see? Yes. Okay. So this is our topic, and here we can find the robe of a Buddhist monk, Tichivara, which is also called a triple robe. You can see in the first image here, Antaravasika, it is the inner robe which we wear in order to cover lower body parts. And then you can see Uttarasanga, the outer robe, also known as prominent robe. And there are three different ways of wearing this robe that you can see. The first image of the middle photo explaining the way that I am wearing this robe, and also the second one and third one commonly wear by venerable monks. And also you can see in the third picture, that is the Sangati, the extra robe. This robe used as sometimes as a pillow, sometimes as a seating mattress. And not only that, that we can see even nuns community of Buddhist Sangha, there are five-fold robes, aforementioned three-fold robes, and extra two other robes also mentioned, that is Samkachika and Uddaka Satika. Samkachika is worn under the Uttara Sangha, and Uddaka Satika is bathing cloth. So this is how it different from Buddhist monastic male Sangha to female Sangha. And here you can see, as I have explained, the replica of field of Magadha. So here you can see strips and also embankment and also all the other important factors that included in monastic robe. And later time period, there are some other uh, extra things added to this robe. So now there are 13 parts of consist of 13 parts. This is the white cloth that before we go through the color dyeing process, and after that it seems like this. In order to give you a proper understanding what is the field of Magadha, we can compare these two photos. See, now you can see this is the general outline of a paddy field, and also it is resembles with the Buddhist monastic robe also. It is not exactly the same, but yet we can see some kind of replica of this pattern and method. Now, this is the first part of our Dhamma discussion. So now we are going to the second part of our Dhamma discussion. So friends, here you can, I have mentioned in the introduction, the second part will be discussed the insight or the reflective meaning of robe. So there are few reflective meanings, and I decided to explain you 4 or 5 reflective meanings of this robe. Personally, according to my understanding, I have mentioned that Buddha's advice of the pattern of this current robe carries the field of Magadha's pattern, and it gives me some kind of sense. You can remember, you can memorize, or you can see the term or the stanza which we use to pay homage to the Sangha. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Nyaya Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Samichi Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Yadidam Chattari, Purisa Yugani, Atta Purisa Puggala, Ahuneyo, Dakineyo, Anjelaneyo, Anuttarang Punyakettan Lokasati. The last quality of the Buddhist monks being praised is Anuttarang Punyakettan, which means the incomparable field of merit. Now, can you see the robe of Buddhist monks also follow the pattern of field of Magadha, and also Buddhist monks were worshipped as Anuttarang Punyakettan, the incomparable field of merits. Whenever a Buddhist monk wear this robe, they automatically give the idea that lay people are having enormous respect in you. They worship you as incomparable field of merit, and you are wearing also the replica of field of Magadha. Therefore, you must be ardent and prudent in this holy life, and you must restrain from misdeed and misbehaviors. So, this kind of reflective meaning automatically appeared in Buddhist monk's life. So, this is the first reflective meaning this robe carries. And the second reflective meaning that robe carries has some relation with the concept of non self. The concept of non self is the most fundamental teaching of Buddhism, which Buddhism differs from many other Indian religious backgrounds. So, as I have mentioned, when the Buddha solved the problem disappearing of robes by cutting this one big robe into several pieces. Similarly, this process can be seen in theory of non-self. You know that if you receive a $50 bill, a note, if you tear it apart into a small pieces, the value of $50 is automatically disappears. Similarly, when you take one whole unit as self, this body and me as a self, there is such kind of notion called self. But when it comes to Buddhism, the Buddha divide this body into two parts in order to devalue this self. Human life is consist of two parts, mind and body. And even further, Buddha elaborate this body in four parts: earth element, water element, fire element, and air element. Not only that, the mental faculty also divided into six parts: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, tongue consciousness, bodily consciousness, and mental consciousness. Now you can see that is how the robe of a Buddhist monk carries the non-self theory. So this is the second reflective meaning of robe of a Buddhist monk. And now we are going to the third reflective meaning. This reflective meaning has some relationship with color dyeing process. As I have mentioned in the first part, when a person is entering to this monastic life, he is entering from colorful life to colorless life. So the color that here represent one's caste, race, social status, and different skin colors. When a person enters to Buddhist monastic order, he does not differ nor he have any preference of color. He see beings as beings, people as people, human as human, animal as animals. And he do not have color preferences like black people, white people, yellow people, and brown people. So that one generate a same loving kindness for each and everyone. That is how Buddhist monks extend their loving kindness to entire human race. At the same time, that we can see when we are color dyeing this white piece of cloth, we can witness because of the color that makes outside come and mix with the white piece of cloth and it become a colorful cloth. Similarly, we can use this analogy into describe what is happening within our mind. Our mind, according to the Buddha, in the present stage, present moment, is a white piece of cloth. But because of outside objects, our mind become deluded. Anger, hatred, enmity, jealousy, and different kind of dust come and paint our mind time to time. And then when a Buddhist monk do the color dyeing process, it automatically appear inside their mind that outside forces makes us and make one's mind into different kind of negative situations. For example, we can use that story of Chullapantaka, Arahant Chullapantaka. If you have heard this story, maybe you can remind. And this in this story, it explains how the Buddha used white piece of cloth and letting the Venerable Chullapantaka to rub it on by his hand. Having seen this white piece of cloth becoming and getting darker and dirtier, Venerable Chullapantaka was able to gain enlightenment. So you can see a small and useful method which we can use in order to become enlightened oneself. So the third reflective meaning of Buddhist monk's attire is preference of color dyeing process. And the fourth reflective meaning is the Buddha's advice. When we are as monks using the four requisites, we have to contemplate why we are using them. For example, whenever Buddhist monks use these robes, they have to reflect wisely why they are using this robe. It says that Patisankha yoniso chivarang patisevami yavadeva sitasya patigataya unhassa patigataya dansa makasavata tapasiring sapasampassana yavadeva hirikopina patichadanatta. I use this robe only to ward off cold, ward off heat, and to ward off touches of flies, mosquitoes, wind, burning and creeping things, and only to the sake of modesty in order to cover some body parts. So this is the most important valuable reflection that unique to Buddhism and only can be seen in Buddhism. So this is the fourth reflective meaning of using the monastic attire. So it shows that the wonderful example how the Buddha used the goal-oriented psychological strategy based on mindfulness directing towards the enlightenment. So friends, now you all can understand I have explained four different meanings and usages of reflective methods in order to use the robe. Not only that, I am going to continue with one of the very interesting stories time in order to show you how Buddha engaged in natural resources conservation. Maybe you all have heard the term called 3R concept. There are 3R concepts in modern world called reduce, reuse, and recycle. You won't believe me if I mention this concept first used by the Buddha. So in this story, it is witnessing that how Buddha asked venerable monks to their robes and all other requisites. According to this story, there was a provincial king called King Udena, and this King Udena one day received 1000 robes. Here robes mean lay and female and monastic Sangha, they all wear a one big white piece of cloth in order to cover the body. So he received this kind of 1000 robes, and then he decided to offer 500 robes for his concubines. And then the same day, Venerable Ananda came to preach Dhamma in the royal harem. After his talk, the queens or the concubines were very happy and offered those 500 white pieces of cloth to make robes for Venerable Ananda. And the later next day, when the king went to see the concubines, he saw concubines were wearing the old clothes. And he asked from them, why do you still wearing the old piece of robes? Why don't you wear the robes that I gave you yesterday? And then they replied, they offered these robes for Venerable Ananda. And then he asked, did Venerable Ananda accepted all these 500 robes? And he was amazed because he knew the Buddha allowed only for Buddhist monks to have 3 sets of robes, which I have shown in the photos earlier. And after that, he got angry with the Venerable Ananda, but he didn't tell it right in front of the Venerable Ananda and went to see him and asked several questions. And he asked first, is that true, Venerable Ananda? My concubine offered you 500 robes. And then Venerable Ananda said, yes, I received. And then he asked, according to the Buddha, you are allowed to have only 3 sets of robes. Why did you accept 500 robes? And he thought Venerable Ananda is doing some illegal business or selling these robes to merchants. Therefore, Venerable Ananda replied, yes, the Buddha allow us to use only 3 robes, but the Buddha didn't prohibit it to accept or receive whatever offered by the lay people. Therefore, I accepted these 500 robes and I gave those robes to those monks who are wearing worn out robes as a replacement. And then the king asked again, so what do you do with the old robes? Then Venerable Ananda says, we make those old robes into outer robes, into inner robes. And then what do you do with the old outer robes? Questioned the king. And then Venerable Ananda said, we use these old Antaravasika, the inner robes, into cover sheets, bed sheets. And then he asked, what do you do with the old bed sheets? We use it as a floor sheet. And then again asked, what do you do with the floor sheet? Oh, we make it use in order to food towels. Maybe it is a kind of a piece of cloth in order to use dusting the temple. So what do you use with the old dusting piece of cloth? And we use them as in order to proper use. We tear them, we cut them into small pieces because they were given by the faithful devotees. We cannot waste it. We use these small pieces and mix with the soil and mix with the mud and make a clay and use to repair our residing places. So that is how the first 3 concepts: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So whenever you offer robes for Buddhist monks, reflect on these main points that will be helpful for you to gain lots of merit and also lots of reflection. In other words, we can conclude this talk. Robe of a Buddhist monk is not only a dress, but also it is itself a way to enlightenment. and it is a proper piece of perfect teachings of the Buddha itself. So thank you very much for kind attention of you all.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhante. There are a few questions. The first question is, Bhante, are there any Vinaya rules laid down by the Buddha that are not applicable nowadays after 2,500 years? Circumstances have changed.
Is this question related to the topic of mine?
No, just Vinaya rules.
Okay. Yeah, according to the Buddha, Buddha has given the opportunity to time to time, according to the time and period. And Buddha himself also promulgated this Vinaya rule, and also he changed according to the some circumstances. Like in the first stage, monks were not allowed to wear slippers. But when Buddhism was spreaded into different parts of the world, with the hardship, they had to wear slippers. So having seen the importance of this practice, the Buddha changed the first Vinaya rule and allowed Buddhist monks to accept all the footwears. And similarly, before Buddha entered to the Parinirvana, he asked in order to change all to words called Buddhan Buddhaka Sikha. But in the Vinaya, monks who were conducted the council process were not sure about what are these Buddhan Buddhaka Sikha. Therefore, they agreed to practice all the Vinaya rules laid out by the Buddha. But relating to the robe, we can see nowadays monks are wearing t-shirts, right? Have you seen? Yes. So this is according to the usage and the timely value and importance of today's world. I will share with you one example or the one story which I faced by myself. And first few years when I came to Singapore, I was not used to wear the t-shirt. So one day I took a bus from here to somewhere, and I saw a vacant seat. There was one person next to it, and I sat down over there. But he looked at me, and I feel that the reason was one shoulder of mine is open when you wear the robe, right? Only one shoulder open. So I think he felt like it is kind of improper feeling for him. So he stand up and went away. So I also feel quite embarrassed in front of many other people. So from that day onward, I also decided to wear a t-shirt because according to the culture and country, the different values have different usages. So I also nowadays cover both sides. So this kind of reasons may be allowed by Buddha in order to change the Vinaya rules. This is my personal idea.
The minor rules.
Minor rules.
Thank you, Bhante. Next question is, people in the time of the Buddha gained enlightenment easily after hearing a few teachings. Is it still possible now? Not related to your robes, but...
It's okay. Yeah, I think it is considered that even the Buddha's time, the first 1,500 monks were considered as the most luckiest one, because at that time they were given special privilege of higher ordination also. Once the Buddha summoned these monks, they immediately became the monks who were completed 80 years of vassa, which means the proper kind of behavior automatically they were achieved. So I think we need lots of merits in order to see the Buddha. Even though we have merits to hear these words of the Buddha today, still we need to see the Buddha, and some people are aspired to see the Buddha. So according to our aspirations, maybe we need some kind of guidelines from the Buddha. And people hear from the Buddha is very significant, because Buddha knew what are the most suitable teaching for each and every human being. For example, now I told you the story of Chullapantaka. I will elaborate it here because it is related to this question. Venerable Chullapantaka entered to the monastic order at his young age. And when he entered to monastic order, his elder brother, already a famous monk, he is called Mahapantaka. Unfortunately, the Chullapantaka wasn't able to memorize even a one stanza. It took 4 months for him to memorize one stanza. And then Venerable Mahapantaka thought it is a disgrace for himself having a brother like Chullapantaka. So he asked Venerable Chullapantaka to leave the temple and disrobe. And one day morning, he was thinking about the elder Mahapantaka's idea. He went to disrobe. But along the way, the Buddha happened to meet him. And then Buddha asked, "Why you leaving?" And then he explained the story, what had happened to him. After that, Buddha just gave him a white piece of cloth and asked him to rub it by your hand. Once he start rubbing it, he saw how this white piece of cloth becoming dirtier due to external factors. He used and this one into his body, that because of this body, the white piece of cloth becoming dirtier. Similarly, because of these outside factors, my mind also become dirty. Immediately he attained enlightenment. Not only enlightenment, he was considered as the foremost of making a replica of himself with the full potential Arahant. So you can see, if this story happened in today, we do not know how to treat our younger monks. If he cannot study well, if he cannot preach well, he will be expelled from the temple. Luckily, Venerable Chullapantaka happened to meet the Buddha, and Buddha knew what is the past karmic incident of Chullapantaka. Because earlier life, Chullapantaka was an extraordinary student. And because of these extraordinary abilities, he was arrogant. He bullied all the other classmates of him, saying that he is superior and all the others are inferior. So this was the case of him. In order, the problem one stanza in 4 months. But because of the Buddha, he was gained enlightenment within a very short limited time of period. So I think the Buddha's advice is direct and forward, because Buddha can see the past karmic actions. Buddha know what is the proper technique that one can guide. That is why Buddha also consider in the 9 great qualities Anuttarang Purisa Dhamma Sarati. the ability of having tame man and human, the great teacher. So I think this is the answer that I can give this question. So it may be clear that the importance of Buddha's advice. So I think if the Buddha was alive in this period, so we all may able to attain enlightenment soon and quick.
A related question is, how much good karma must we make to meet an Arahant or Buddha?
Actually, I do not know exact amount, but I know that we need lot and lot of good karma.
Thank you, Bhante. Another question, did Buddha give any guidance on dealing with fake monks? Fake monks are not good for Buddhism. Is there a way to tell whether a Theravadan monk is real? Example, Mahayana monks have burnt marks on their scalp.
Of course, now there are two criteria given by the Buddha. That those two criteria are Sakachayako Maharaj Panya Veditabbo, Sangmasenako Maharaj Silang Veditabbo. That one of the answer by the Buddha, that Buddha says, if you want to know someone's knowledge, how intellectual they are, you need proper discussion with them. And if you want to know whether they are having or they are fake monk or real monk or whatsoever, in order to know how much good actions they are having, you need to associate them very closely. So this is the method that you can get to know about other people. So yes, there are pseudo monks and there are good monks, there are fake monks and there are bad monks, good monks, whatsoever. Those, whatever they are doing, they will carry with themselves. Whatever we do good, we will carry with us. So no need to worry about others' action. I think it is better always to look inside. It is not always about outside.
Thank you, Bhante. This is related to the attire. Monks go to the cemetery to pick up the white materials for their robes. How about nuns?
Actually, according to the given examples in Tripitaka, it has mentioned in choosing the robes only by monks because from the Buddha's advice, nunneries must be created within the some kind of boundary where their Buddhist monks' temple are closely associated. So this is the first answer that I can give. And the second one that we can see, nuns community started in a very late time of period. I think due to this reason, at that time monks were already receiving white piece of clothes. So when the time Buddhist nuns were gaining the permission to enter this monastic order, already lay people were informed that the necessary for basic requirements. That is why it does not, I think, it does not discuss nuns went to these kind of cemeteries and pick up white piece of clothes. So the monastic cycle is established in method after the Buddha allowed these nuns order to begin. So I think that is why it does not mention about nuns. However, we can think probably maybe nuns also went to the cemeteries and found these kind of white pieces of cloth. Of course, because women are also fearless and they also can go to these kind of places and do these kind of meditation practices. So they may have also found, even though we cannot find this example in Tripitaka.
Thank you, Bhante.
All right. No question for me, but I'm just like um when you share about the 3R, reduce, reuse, recycle, and it has been introduced by the Buddha like 2,500 years ago. It was like wow, it was very fascinating. And yeah, thank you so much, Bante, for such a wonderful sharing. And yeah, I get more insights about the monk's robe.
I was expecting one question, but unfortunately,
Robe.
it didn't raise in this session. Do you wonder why there are different colors of robes today? Because
Uh,
I'm wearing a green color, a brown color robe.
Brown.
Some monks are wearing maroon color. Some are wearing yellow color. Different colors. Have you seen? Yes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Colors of
do
the
you
earth.
wonder what is the reason of this kind of different colors?
I
The
guess
tradition.
tradition. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it has some relationship with the tradition, especially in Myanmar tradition, we can see maroon color, and Sri Lankan tradition, we can see brown color and yellow color. In Thai tradition, mainly yellow color, and Thai Forot Sangha tradition, they use a similar kind of color. Anyway, the we cannot make color dyeing process according to our own selves. Buddha has given certain criteria to make this color dyeing process. So, the reflective meaning behind this color dyeing process and also color of the robe of a Buddhist monk carries another important meaning. That is, you have seen there are so many trees got different kind of leaves. When they are about to fall, you can see in the autumn season these leaves becoming some kind of
Then
a brown color and red color, different kind of colors, which means they are about to fall from the tree. Similarly, the color of this Buddhist monk's robe carries. These monks are also leaves that going to fall from the tree of samsara. That is why these robes are being colored in the introduce several important colors. So there are some leaves falling from the tree, dry like this, and some leaves may become red color when they are going to fall from the tree, and some maybe become yellow color when they are going to fall from the tree. So it gives the understanding that Buddhist monks are leaves that sooner or later going to fell from tree of samsara. So this is the wonderful analogy used by the Buddha.
Oh, that's very profound, Bante. Thank you for sharing that. Bante, um, just building on into the color of the robe, right? Because it seems to be like, like different countries or different traditions have certain colors as well. And how did they decide on the color? And, yeah, because you mentioned about the different colors and
Yeah.
yeah, the faces of the leaves and all that, right? And yeah, how do the different countries decide the colors of the robes?
Actually, at the beginning of the period, they use some tree barks and tree branches, some fruits and some leaves got different color. So that is how they make dye, color dyeing process. But today, we have different kind of colors that we can use and ready-made colors already. So, this is an ancient practice that, in order to differentiate different sects from others, maybe they have came up with different colors. but I'm actually not sure when did these color differences came into the monastic order and different lineages.
Thank you, Bhante. I think we've got one question from Sister Michelle. Why are monks only allowed 3 robes when there are 7 days in a week?
Okay, so actually, even though we says that the Buddha advised us to wear 3 robes, it doesn't mean that we can accept extra robes. Actually, we are allowed to accept extra robes, but into certain limit. Because that when a Buddhist monk is wearing this robe, he must be able to travel place to place easily. He shouldn't have so many different kind of uh, different kind of items and ropes. It will make some burdens for monks. These robes are wear in every kind of situations monks life. So it is a good question that asking about why there are 7 days in a week, why only 3 robes, but still we can use the same robe washing every night, right? If you have only a few sets of rope, you know how to rotate it and make use of it. Whenever you take shower, you wash one robe and keep it in the cloth line until it dry. Then you can use the other robe. So this is only the purpose of living a easy life and contented life. If the Buddha allowed many robes to use, actually there are some incidents in Chivarakhandaka. There are one section discussing about Chivarakhandaka. There was a one monk called Bahubandika Bhikkhu. The term is Bahubandika mean having so many requisites. So he was a monk who wear, just like Sister Michelle mentioned, one day one set of robe and second day second sets of robe. And one day, having seen this, the Buddha asked him, "Why you wearing this robe?" And immediately he get furious and leave audience ask, "Are you expecting me to live in a in like this without robes?" So then the Buddha said, "Are not wearing robes right now. It is not the importance of the robe that you are wearing. It is also about mental cultivation. So if you are contented with 3 robes, of course you can live a contented life. If you have 5, 6 robes, also you can live happily. But it may be extra burden. That is why Buddha allowed 3 robes, but it does not mean that only 3 robes. There are 3, 4 robes that Buddhist monk can use, but without having lots of requisites. Did I answer your question?
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes, Bhante.
We shall ask Bhante to help us share merits before we
Okay. Yeah. Let's share these merits with guardian devas, protective devas, and sharing these merits, we make and aspire our lives to live a fulfilled life and to live happy life and finally attain bliss of nirvana. Say sadhu 3 times, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And we transfer this merit for guardian devas. Akasatta cha bhummatta deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu sasanang chirang rakkantu desanang chirang rakkantu tvang sada. And by the power of listening to this Dhamma talk, may we all attain supreme bliss of nirvana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bhante, for the very insightful and inspiring sharing.
Thank you.
Dhamma brothers and sisters, let us all do the closing puja. In Anjali, let us invite all sentient beings to participate in our acquired merits. Etawata cham hehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe dewa anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Etawata cham hehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Etawata cham hehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe sata anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Let us dedicate the merits of participating in a wholesome Dhamma activity to our departed relatives and friends. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. End of service dedication. I dedicate the marriage which I have accumulated to the cultivation of my mind in order to bring happiness and benefits to all sentient beings. I dedicate the marriage to my parents, children, spouse, relatives, friends, colleagues, and my adversaries, wishing them long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity. May we never depart from the triple gem, and may we always walk the path towards enlightenment. Closing homage, let us pay respect to the triple gem. Arahang sama sambuddho bhagava Buddhang bhagavantang abhivademi. Swakato bhagavata dhammo dhammang namasami. Supatipano bhagavato sawaka sangho sanghang namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Dhamma brothers and sisters, for joining us today. We would like to welcome you back next week. Next week, we'll have Dr. Ho Yu Chin. He'll be speaking on the topic of spiritual cultivation through a sustainable lifestyle. So we look forward to see you next week. Thank you and see you.